Well, if you're looking to diet without feeling hungry, this is the video for you. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the tips that will help you feel, I don't know, more satiated, less deprived. My name is Coach B, and I'm a nutrition coach, and I'll be discussing how to diet without feeling so fucking hungry. I'll be sharing some tips that even I've used when I was on my fat loss journey back in the day. And actually, I used a lot of this during my contest prep. So I want to start off by saying that when you are dieting, you will experience hunger. It is a true cost to getting lean. So the thing is that what we want to do is we want to minimize hunger, okay? And we can do that with these tips. If you're tired of feeling hungry all the time, it's really it's time to try a different approach, right? Because obviously what you're doing may not be working, okay? But again, keep in mind that a diet is likely going to have you feeling hungry. Okay, so one of the things that you could do is increase your fiber intake. You can aim as a female 25 to 30 grams per day, and as a male, anywhere between, 35 to 40 grams per day. And what this does is it helps promote fullness, okay? So you want the stomach to stretch a tiny bit, and it kind of just gives your brain that signal that you're full, okay? You can then next start with increasing your protein. Now, there's a catch to this. If you're someone who is really overweight, sure, we'd like to aim for 1 gram per pound of body weight, but that may not be your case, because if you are extremely overweight and you're heavy, then it wouldn't make sense to aim for like 250 grams of protein. However, you could start at a lower value of 0.6 grams to 0.8 grams per pound of body weight and move that up as you diet and as hunger is there, right? If your hunger is not being shut down, then maybe it's a good idea to try and increase your protein intake. It does help promote fullness, but it also works on that side of the satiety. Like, no one's really craving protein, so it's really good, and it also helps stabilize your blood sugar. The next thing that I would do and it kind of goes hand in hand with the fiber, is to increase volume-based foods. So like, these are going to be the foods that carry a little bit more water, but they're also going to be lower in calorie, but they provide a ton of, density, right? So again, like, this is where like really big salad bowls come into play. So when I was dieting for my contests, I was always hungry, you can imagine. So one of the things that I would do on a regular basis is that I wouldn't just have like the traditional broccoli and cauliflower. I would load up a big, huge salad bowl full of, shredded lettuce, different types of lettuce, romaines, spinach, and that kind of thing. And then I would start adding in a whole bunch of different vegetables, right? So peppers and cucumbers and tomatoes and things that I could really, have as low calorie, hit my targets, and still feel really full, okay? So that's one of my favorite tips, actually, is just to make sure, like, even throughout the day, if you could just have one big salad bowl, it would definitely help you, especially as you get into the quote unquote poverty macros. You'll see that will help you. The next thing is that if you could try to be as consistent as possible with your meals. Now, again, this is going to change as your diet progresses and how you go from higher calories to lower calories. But what I found, even when I was doing my shows, and most of my clients now too, is to be consistent with their eating. So that's going to look different for everybody, but try to have meals versus just mini snacks when you're dieting. Meals will help you, feel, more satiated, and probably will last in your GI a little bit longer. Also too, is it just creates this consistent pattern. So like, you're kind of like in tuned as to when you're going to eat your next meal. And it's not necessarily by the clock, because I used to be that person. However, being consistent also had me feeling a lot more stable. So blood sugar stabilization. That was me. Like, that's how I would feel. But that consistency it helps when you're planning and stuff like that too, right? It gives you an option to stay on track because you're aware of the meals that you want to have and you're making those as consistent as possible. And plus, you're not going with a long period of time in between meals where you might get super, super hungry. And then instead of having that planned, salad bowl with a little bit of grains or whatever and some protein, now you're like, you're stopping at the drive-through, right? So again, if you're consistent and you have those consistent windows of eating, then what's going to happen is that it's going to be a little bit more stable for you, and it's going to probably reduce the likelihood of you wanting to overeat. Again, going back to the whole like meal situation, is just trying to be in a place of making meals. So having a protein, carb, and fat on your plate, trying to make it as full as possible, again, depending on your calories and where they're at, and trying to reduce the snacks. And what I mean by snacks is like, it's great to have a protein bar. I'm not saying don't have one, but that may not last very long, and then you're hungry again. And when you're in those poverty macros and low calories, that can be really tough to stick to, right? So again, if you want to diet with less hunger, you want to promote fullness, right? And so like you want to have options that are going to give you a little bit more of that feeling, okay? So I'm not saying you can't have a snack. I'm just saying that going back to more volume-based foods will promote a lot more fullness. Now, this is like away from the food kind of factor of trying to help you with your hunger, but managing your stress and your sleep is going to help you immensely. We know that when you're not sleeping well and if your stress levels are out of whack, you're going to probably have some dysregulation with your appetite, especially with sleep. So the idea would be to have at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep daily or nightly, sorry. And then looking at your stress levels and figuring out what needs managing, really. So like, what can you delegate? What can you delete or delay in your life to help you feel better? Because again, and I'll talk a little bit about this further in the video, but like hunger it can be very much emotional, and it can be driven with some mental aspects of things, right? And so if you can manage your stress, it might make that hunger a lot more easier to manage. Now, the one thing I think is really important on your journey of dieting, people often say, oh, it's not a big deal, but it really is mindset. So one of the things that I often see in my clients is that all or nothing mindset, that fuck it attitude. And so like, we want to be able to drop that and minimize that. And part of that would mean that you have to lean into having a little bit more flexibility or in a different approach with your diet. And so what I mean by that is like, try not to be so restrictive. Try not to label foods good versus bad. There is a place in your diet for all foods. And it's really, really important to understand that. So you don't want to feel guilty if you should have a Pop-Tart while you're dieting. You know what I mean? Or have a chocolate because you've made it fit. Some people will see that as a derailment. So we want to drop that all or nothing mindset. And that will definitely help. It'll help keep you regulated. But also too, is that if you drop that, having less restrictions in your diet, it's not so much maybe the hunger that I would be concerned about. It's just really going to help you stick to your diet, right? Because you won't feel so deprived. Again, when we're going back to, feeling hungry, a lot of that hunger can stem from some of that emotional tie, but also like your true hunger, but also like those restrictions, right? Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about is like sticking to mostly nutrient-dense foods. So basically, I don't want you to avoid hyper palatable foods, but I think that it's important to understand that you might have to limit those. Because, and what I mean by hyper palatable is like, those are gonna be foods that are super high in calories, high in sodium, fat, and carbohydrates, and they're gonna want you coming back for more. And that hunger is now going to become maybe that mental stuff where it's presented in front of you and you're just like, oh my God, I'm so hungry. And then you're going to want to eat more. You can have some of those foods, but you want to stick to mostly nutrient dense choices. So you're going to want to have the higher protein. You're going to want to have fiber. It's just, remember, dieting is a temporary thing. It's not forever. So you want to be able to just kind of like, that's what it is. You got to have that mindset of like, this is just temporary. I can get through this. I can have the hamburger and fries. I can go to Five Guys anytime. Just right now, I may not be able to have all of it. Maybe I have half the burger and a few fries, but I need to have that salad bowl and everything else to help curb my hunger and keep me more satiated and full throughout the day so I don't feel like I want to stop at Five Guys all the fucking time. Okay, so again, you don't have to eliminate or avoid any foods while you're in your dieting phase. However, I think that if you want to manage your hunger, it's important to keep some of those hyperpalatable foods at bay. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about hunger. Hunger can be physical. So like that's where you feel it, like the growling sensation, maybe even headaches, dizziness, hangry attitude, irritable. Like, believe me, when I ask my family how I was when I was dieting, they would always say I was angry or I was irritable or just a bitch. And I'm okay with that because it was the dieting phase, and I was definitely striving for, extreme levels of lean and that kind of thing. But it can also be mental. And what I mean by mental, so this is my own definition. So this is not like in any literature that I'm aware of, because people will look at this differently or might even put mental and the emotional stuff together. But I think that the mental aspect of things is like when you see things or if you smell things, and it just triggers something in your brain of like, I want that, or it increases your hunger just because you've seen it, right? Or that smell, like you walk into a bakery and you're like, oh my God, like I know what that's like when I'm dieting, and I'm just like, oh my God. So that can really be a trigger for you as well. So you may not want to be around situations like that. However, there's also the emotional side of things. So the emotional side of things can be like what you use food for managing your emotions or your feelings, but also, let's say for instance, somebody, you do go to a friend's house and you are trying to stick to your diet and you want to like make sure you go and you're trying to, make sure you're not super hungry when you go to their place, and you're really hoping that it's going to be something that you can manage. But then, you see the cinnamon buns, and the cinnamon buns remind you of like home baked cinnamon buns that your mom made for you. And you have like this emotional draw to it. That can happen. But in most cases, I'm talking about people that are emotionally, like distraught, and they've used food as a coping mechanism, right? So that hunger can show up in different aspects of your life and in different ways. So just be very aware of that through your dieting phase. Because again, hunger, actually, let's just go back. There is a cost to getting lean. There's a cost to losing weight. And one of those things is hunger. Once you go into that deficit, this is just your body's self-preservation of like, hey, please don't lose body fat. Please don't make any changes. I like you the way you are, even though you may not. So that hunger is going to be increasing, right? And so if you want to reduce that, you have to manage the hunger, okay? You can't wish it away. You want to be able to manage it. And it's on you to do this, okay? And remind yourself that it is a dieting phase, that this is temporary. You're not going to be hungry forever. There will probably be some adaptations eventually, and that hunger will start to dissipate. But at the end of the day, applying some of these tips is going to be really, really beneficial. And here's the thing, some may work for some people and some may not. And again, it's just trial and error and just seeing what you like and what you can adhere to. So here's the thing, manage that hunger, good luck, and have fun dieting, because remember, it's just a temporary phase.